Dedication, Introduction, and Preface. From Christopher Cricket on Cats, with observations and deductions for the enlightenment of the human race, from infancy to maturity and even old age. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Christopher Cricket on Cats, with observations and deductions for the enlightenment of the human race, from infancy to maturity and even old age, by Henderson EUWER. Dedication. To all the cats that ever meowed on this or any sphere, from the beginning of all time unto this present year, to all the cats that's still to come, and to all those that lives, and to their ghosts, each countin' 9, and to their relatives, and to each one who likes some sort of cats, no matter what, I dedicate this little book with kind and lovin' thought, and specially to Samuel T. Shaw. Introduction. O pussy, as I stroke thy fur and smooth its silken thicket, I hear above thy placid purr the chirping of a cricket. Ah, I suspect that subtle bug, when winter skies are drabby, has crawled beneath the hearthstone rug to keep a tab on tabby. Nay, puss or poet seldom thrives unkicked by rumor's scandal. How can a cat lead 9 pure lives without a breath of scandal? 8 lives a cat might lead at home as blameless as St. George's, yet in its 9th carnation roam to witches' midnight orgies. A cat of cultivated throat has repertoires that vary, yet in the shrillness of his note he rivals the canary. A cat concerto, highly strung with penetrating spirit, is like some songs I too have sung. I'd rather sing than hear it. So here are Master Cricket's views on cats. I place reliance in what he says, though half the news he tells may startle science. But should harsh critics speak of fakes, with one reply I'm ready. One touch of nature, faker, makes the whole world kin, says Teddy. Wallace Irvin. Preface. In bringing this work before the public, it's a good thing to know that most everything here is pretty true, all except some of the things Uncle Ben's helped on. And if readers is ever awful doubtful in these places, guess they'd better use their own judgments. Everything learned here has been the fruits of unremittent observation, lots of asking, and a terrible lot of thinking. Of course, everybody knows how hard it is to find out anything, and that's why this book should be of special value to students of wisdom. Like Columbus, Munchausen, Darwin, and Thompson Seton, the writer has traveled some but written lots more, loving nature like the very Dickens since his tenderest infancy. Add respect and kindness for the gentle reader, scientific appellations, attenuated phraseology, and very long words from foreign, obsolete, and barbarous languages has been mostly expurgated, meaning to cut out, though some still remains, which if people don't understand, tain't the writer's fault. People that's omnivorous readers hadn't ought to read more than about just one part at a time, then think pretty hard for a long while about what they've been learning. This is so they won't get mental derangement and builds up the brain cavities fine. Of course, everybody won't agree maybe with all the writers' views and things, just like with other great writers. That's why great writers have different views anyhow. As it's not good manners to talk about yourself, the reader will describe that these sentences has been written in the 3rd person, and would have been written in the 4th if other pursuits hadn't stopped his pursuing the advanced stages of grammar. It's hoped that all will get what they're looking for, and lots more. End of dedication, introduction, and preface.
Cats and Humans All the Same by Henderson EUWER, read for LibriVox.org by Anita Sloma-Martinez. Cats and humans all the same.
Of all the beasts that live, we must, I guess, call cats the humanest. For just like folks, you'll find that these has no end to their qualities. For some is fat, and some is lean, some very dirty, and some clean. Some's always licking at their fur, and some's not so particular. Some cats take just fresh milk and meat. Some takes all that they're gave to eat. Some cats they cough, and some they wheeze, and some's afflicted by disease. Some cats is blind, and stone deaf some, but ain't no cat was ever dumb. Some cats will monkey round and fool, and play for hours with just a spool, while some just sit and blink their eyes, preferring to philosophize. Some cats likes most folks pretty fine, but some takes care to draw the line. Some comes and rubs against you, which means will you scratch them where they itch, while others is so mean all through, they like lots better scratching you. And so you see the marvelous way felines does resemble us. Cats and humans all the same, just sort of different in the name.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Cat by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org by Mike Overby, Midland, Washington. The cat's a four-legged quadruped, not countin' in his tail. The missus is the tabby cat, and Thomas is the male. The cat it is carnivorous, although to milk inclinin'. It makes a hump out of its back, and whiskers it looks fine in. No home should be without the cat, especially where there's mouses. It never goes away, the cat, but stays just where the house is. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Quantity of Legs by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org by Eline from lovelyaudiobooks.info. Quantity of legs. As stated in the foregoing poem, the cat's a four-legged quadruped. No cat has 5 legs. If they have, tain't a quadruped cat. Tripod cats is made by cutting off 1 leg. Different breeds. Cats are different breeds according to their dispositions. Cats that's made for little boys and girls to maul and tease is called Maltese cats. Some cats is known by their queer purrs. These is called Persian cats. Though most cats is kind unless molested, some ain't. Cats with very bad tempers is called angry cats. Sometimes a very fine cat is called a magnificat. In tropic lands, the cat is called a popocatepelt. Cats with deep feelings is called feline cats. Differences from other things. Cats is different from horses, 'cause they have kittens. Uses of cats. Sometimes cats have saved the entire lives of infants by not allowing them to swallow their fur and tickling them to death. Cats has been known to save hundreds of dollars worth of things from being robbed by letting burglars stumble over them in the dark and waking up the household. Principal diseases. The principal diseases of cats is cataracts, catara, categoria, caterwauls, caterpillars, catawba, and catalepsy. Some cats is great leapers, and when very joyous, jump themselves all round through the adjacent atmosphere. This is called catalepsy, and gets to be a disease which they throw themselves into any time they think of something very funny. Purrin's like pulse is with health and indicates the state of happiness of the purrer. Just plain purrin means they've got no particular objections to anything long as they're allowed to purr. But more than 60 purrs a minute indicates their pleasure is rousing and that catalepsy is coming on if they're not sad and sufficient in time. Sometimes catalepsy is just intermittent in spells, but sometimes Uncle Ben says it has been known to last for days, touching the ground only at rare intervals, and that often nothing was left of the victim but a few dying purrs and some fur. From purrin meaning to indicate, he says we derive the expression how much purr. The principal products of cats is cat's eyes, cat tails, catacombs, catamarans, categories, catapults, catnip, and caterers. End of section. This recording is in the public domain. A poem by Anthony Henderson EUWER, read for LibriVox.org by Eline from lovelyaudiobooks.info. Cataleptics these are, travelin' to the moon. See how big the trees are from the big balloon. Two chaps they get scary just as they've begun. Anchor drops most very quiet, here in one. With a sudden pullin', old balloon comes taut. Captain Michael Mullen says the blame thing's caught. Someone brave and tried. We'll need to see us through, Captain Michaels cried, up here in number 2. S'posen we slide down and do the best we can, take a look around, and then report again, said the fraidies while the rest all breathlessly sat and watched them pile out here in number 3. Soon they found the anchor in a treetop's height, started in to yank her all their bloomin' might. Bet when this is loose, I go back there no more. Watch me just for moose, he says in number 4. While the words he's utterin', woof, quiff, kawee, whole shebang goes sputterin'. Goodbye, Mr. Tree. Gosh, but that was quick. But now to keep alive, guess we'd better stick, he says in number 5. Now as brave old heroes, back again they're gettin'. Rest don't know how near those heroes came to quittin'. If though they'd their freedom with their funny tricks, guess you'd never see them here in number 6. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Speshul Peculiararities by Anthony Henderson EUWER, read for LibriVox.org. Cats talk to each other by mewing, from whence they get the word communicat. As cats have 9 lives, they have to be killed many times before they're seriously dead. Killing cats is considered unlucky, especially by cats. Once there was a special kind of cat having 9 long tails, each tail being connected with one of its lives inside. And this cat, he was called a cat of 9 tails. These cats was used just for licking transgressors. The cat being taken by their necks, according to Uncle Ben, and swung through the surrounding ozone till the tails stopped at whatever portion of the transgressor was to be licked. Of course, each tail that wore out was one less life for the cat, and if the neck wore out first, then the whole cat was one less, so that soon there wasn't enough cats with enough tails or necks to go around all the transgressors, and this special species soon became extinct. Of course, the transgressors didn't blame the cats so much. It wouldn't have made any difference to the cats if they had. I guess, though, if the transgressors hadn't transgressed, and the cats had bit off their extra tails when they was kittens, they might have all lived happy lives. End of section 6. This recording is in the public domain.
Music's Debt to Cats by Anthony Henderson EUWER, read for LibriVox.org by kimjoys. Cats is very musical, being filled with violin strings, which is coiled up like clock springs, and which is worked like wind instruments by blowing through them with their livers. Cats is very emotional, and when agitated can run through the whole gimlet of catiline passions, both joyous, loving, and remorseful. Cats is very romantic, and compose many beautiful serenades while singing, without ever thinking them up at all. Many cats like to get on backyard fences and walls and sing what's called nocturnes, so that when something knocks them, they can turn quick to the other side. That's why they always sing them on walls and fences, because there's always the other side, which is very useful for turning purposes when there's no telling which side things are coming from. When cats are knocked during the pursuit of musical labors, it is called a catastrophe. Some people haven't any ear for cat music at all, much preferring silence. These is called insomniacs. Then there's somnambulists, but they're much worse, having been known to eject bottles, bricks, and shoes with murderous intent. not even wait until the musical numbers was finished. Uncle Ben says that when he was a boy, somnambulists always used bootjacks, which went straight as a gun and never missed, and that the two richest men in his town was the cat doctor and the bootjack man. End of section. This recording is in the public domain.
Rainen, Cats and Dogs by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org by Anita Sloma-Martinez. Rainen, Cats and Dogs. Oh, Uncle Ben, he says that he has sometimes seen it rain in mighty torrents from the sky with all its might and main, and got still worser till he says that through the mists and fogs it came on down till all at once 'twas rainin' cats and dogs. But they was only ghosts, I guess, for when the storm was done, he looked around to take some home and couldn't find a one. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
When a Cat Has Gone and Died by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org by TriciaG. When a cat has gone and died, he lays down upon his side. Then by ones and twos and threes, spirits ooze out by degrees. Then the top one in the air asks 'em all if they is there. Then they answer to the roll, till just 9 make up his soul. Then, with a soft, wailin' sound, all start goin' round and round, chantin' while they're hoverin', some sad and solemn requiem. Then float off with direful moan, him left by hisself alone. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Cats on Histry's Page by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org by Anita Sloma-Martinez. Cats on Histry's Page. The Compass Cat. Cats has wonderful bumps of directions and can tell which way the earth is no matter how far they've been fallen from. Cats is even better than compasses, 'cause their hairs is all magnetic poles which can be heard cracking by rubbing the fur with the human hand. That's why cats can't never get lost, 'cept when they're drownded. Long, long ago, cats was used by the Chinese instead of compasses for steering their ships. This was done by putting the cat on the behind end of the boat, and then whichever way the cats pointed their tails, they steered the ship. 'Course sometimes the ships got wrecked, but that wasn't the cat's fault, for sometimes the wind would blow their tails different from the way they had 'em pointing. 'Course when cats do get lost, they most always come back, but if they ever don't, 'tain't 'cause they can't, but 'cause they maybe don't want to. But I'd never come back if I was some cats that live some places I know. But cats is wonderful good-hearted that way and don't seem to mind nothing. Cats on Histry's Page. Wild Cats. In olden times, witches was furnished with cats, and at night time they used to go screeching round through the air with the witches on their backs, with great big eyes like fire in the dark, and gee, but they must have been terrible big cats to carry the witches. Glad I wasn't there. And then the witches, they used to beat 'em with the broom switches that they had, so that the cats was just wild to get away, so that's what made 'em wild cats. Cats on Histry's Page. The Sacred Cat. Long time ago, way back in Egypt, they was awful fond of cats. Uncle Ben says they just worshipped them. And sometimes cats was found the color of red sacks that they kept coffee in, and these was called sacred cats, and was specially honored by being buried alive with the dead kings and things. Gee, I'd hate to been a sacred cat. Cats on Histry's Page. The Knights of Malta.
In Malta far, which is the isle, out in the wavy seas, a breed of cats was once the style, and they was called Maltese. Long, lean, and healthful was they each, and they could yowl like blazes all through the night from dusk till light in 90 different places. But all the people wasn't Jobs when anger's ire was riz, so once in all their nightly robes they up and got to biz. Some cats was mobbed, some cats was sloon, and some fleed to the sea, skedaddling out into the moon, far from their loved country. And folks that night they swore a oath, and some crisscrossed their chests, and some there was performed them both in memory of the pests. To celebrate that welcome loss, they called the crisscross rite a Maltese cross, to show how cross they was that fearful night. The Knights of Malta you've all heard tell of on history's page. Well, these was those that once occurred in that catastrous age. End of section. This recording is in the public domain.
Miscellaneous Observations and Reasons for Different Things by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org by kimjoys. Miscellaneous Observations. Very skinny cats is sometimes said to be cadaverous. Though cats can yowl for miles, the way they walk so noiseless is something marvelous. Transcendentalists say this is because their feet is inhabited by the dead souls of departed beings. Opposite views is held by some catropodists, who say that the reason cats walk so quiet is just because they don't want people to know they're coming, and that it's a strange fact that they really do walk as loud as cows and things, that the sound is invisible to the human ear. Reasons for different things. Cats make most noise at night, because in the daytime, there's so much else going on that people won't listen to them. The reason cats can see fine at night is their eyes is just like lamps, and so they need lots of oil, and that's why they eat fishes, 'cause fishes is oily. The reason cats can go anywhere at night is 'cause they eat lots of mouses, and mouses can go anywhere at night, except where there's cats. Cats don't bark, 'cause they're afraid they might be taken for dogs, which would be very humiliating, for cats are very proud of their cattlage, and would rather be taken for cats than most anything else. End of section. This recording is in the public domain.
Once There Was a Bulldog by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org. Once there was a bulldog and a tabby cat. Thought they'd lick each other, so they had a spat. When it was all over, didn't much remain, except a hunk of vertebrae and a squish of brain. Like the death of Moses, nothing much is known about the main particulars, except they was alone. Which was winning victor, no soul living knows, but I guess to leave 'em lying in repose. Some day when you're passin' that there spot you'll see just some catnip growin' by a dogwood tree. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Catalyptic by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org. Once a catalyptic, thinking of a joke, had an awful violent catalyptic stroke. Shot him up Croatian while he flopped around. Guess 'twas more an hour before he hit the ground. Come down all exhausted in the marshes damp, wiggling round just like a pretzel with a cramp. Gee, I never again will think of jokes like that. Just one more, I'm sure, would finish this here cat. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Why Cats Has Whiskers by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org by Sarah Brown. When a cat he starts to go through a hole somewhere, he most always likes to know if there's room to spare. Then he reckons how much space does his whiskers take by just pushin' through his face measurements to make. If they have to bend, he knows that it means hard luck, and the rest of him that goes surely will get stuck. But if they don't bend, you see, tells it at a glance, knows it's safe as safe can be, so he takes the chance. Pity people haven't all whiskers like this chap's. If they had, they might forestall many dire mishaps. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Kittens by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org by Eline from lovelyaudiobooks.info. Kittens. A funny thing about kittens is that though they're descended from cats, they begin with a K. Scientists have never discovered why this is, and I've been too busy to find out just why myself. Kittens is just the same as pressed-in cats, and hens should be fed on condensed milk. Kittens is stone blind for 9 days after they're born. Oculists and kidnologists disagree as to whether this is because they wouldn't understand what things was if they did see 'em, asking so many questions that no mother living could answer them all at the same time. Where's Uncle Ben thinks it's just to make 'em glad they're living later, by keeping their vision retarded until they're able to assimilate objects and things. He says that kittens always used to put him in mind of wounded soldiers, the way they was both born in litters. End of section. This recording is in the public domain.
Things Some People Know and Some Things They Don't by Anthony Henderson EUWER. Read for LibriVox.org by TriciaG. Oh yes, I almost forgot. What is it that walks like a cat, and has a tail like a cat, and makes a noise like a cat, and looks just like a cat, but it ain't a cat? It's a kitten. Uncle Ben's great-grandfather used to tell him one every once and a while. Why is cats like poor surgeons? 'Cause they mew till late and destroy patients. Then there was another that Uncle Ben says he was brought up on. Why are cats' tails like eternity? Because they're fur to the end. Guess that's all there is to know about cats. If there's any more, 'tain't worth knowin', 'cause I've paid particular attention to cats for almost a week, and I guess I ought to know. End of section. This recording is in the public domain. End of Christopher Cricket on Cats by Anthony Henderson EUWER.